All of us have noticed that if you try to avoid the thought of something, or you try to avoid thinking of an image of something, the mind produces it. So I say, don't think of a banana. Then that can become a constant struggle. So we accept the nature of the mind in this way, that it is showing us what we said, I don't want to see it, keep showing. And yet, the hypnosis is that when it does show up without any invitation or rejection, we seem to take it to be an helpful proposal or a useful thing for us. But on what basis do we know that? Because from what we observe, if we say, I don't want, then that seems to show up even more. It seems to show up even more. So really the point I want to make is much broader than that. Is that the only struggle in the spiritual quest, the only difficulty in the spiritual quest is the use of the wrong instrument for spirituality. So if you switch out of the wrong instrument, then the truth is unmissable. You see, God is unmissable. The Supreme, the Absolute is really apparent. You see? But now, what will happen if you insist that no, I must use the hammer to measure the size of this room? What will happen? You see? Nothing can stop you from trying. So you have to set your timeline and say, how long will I try? You see? With methods which I've tried and they don't work. And then you can observe also in sanghas and groups and things like that, that the process of spiritual seeking seems to go on and on and on like that. And maybe that itself seems to become like a comfort zone for us to be in. You see? Like I was half jokingly saying, like we get used to a comfortable hell. We get used to a hell that is familiar, so it starts to feel comfortable, and then we feel like no, but to step out of this, I need a guarantee. You see, what if I lose what I already have? But what you already have is your concepts, your notions about what this is, and it's best that you lose that. You see? That which can cause you suffering is to experience hell in the human condition. You see, there is no other hell. You see? And to be empty of that, in true apparency of what you are, is the only heaven there is. So, heaven or hell, you see, are based on how consciousness chooses to play. And referring to you as consciousness, you can choose to see the reality of what you are, or you can go with the mind proposals of what the mind is proposing you to be, which is limited, which is body-mind, which is suffering, which wants, which is separate. So it's all a question of right now, not a question of keeping, holding, becoming, none of that. As I'm saying this, and if I say to you that the absolute is within your reach right now, your mind will come with doubts and say no, I'm not ready for it yet. You see? Or how will I know if it's true? How can I find God and keep what I value in this life and world? You see? So the leap of faith or the quantum leap into this, or as Guruji says, you be the cow that jumped over the moon. He's really saying that you have to leap over all these make-believe ideas, and you cannot hedge your bets. You can't hedge your bets and say, no, but first guarantee me that, my family will still like me and my monthly salary will still come. And then if you guarantee me that, and then, you see, I need God, then that's the best. You see, that's the best. Because I want a Janaka style enlightenment. You see? So we need that sort of guarantee. And what do you find? It's not that the discovery of God is in opposition to any of that. See, God doesn't want to meet you and then oppress you and say, oh, give up your family, give up your job. But the mind just creates these doubts. Like for Guruji also, it created the doubts that if you keep going like this, you'll be a poor beggar on the streets of Brixton, hunchback like Quasimodo. You see? So this fear comes. You see, and what our family also tells us the same thing. All our families will tell us that it's okay, but do it in a balance. No? Don't go overboard. Why are you spending all your time in Thiru? Be balanced about it. I'm not saying no. You see, that's what the usual voice is, which comes from the family. I'm not saying no, but have a balance about it. You see? And then take care of your responsibilities, and then there will be a time. You see? But it has made the mind has made the notion that God is opposed to all of these things. And all these things, if you find God, then God will say, no. You see? No. You must give up your family. You must give up your work. You see? It's not like that. It's not like that. You can come to the discovery of the Lord here and now, and that discovery is not necessarily in opposition to how your life is playing out. But trust me that whichever way it does play out, in the apparency of your self-knowledge, you see, you will not regret it. And even those who truly care about you will, at a particular point, appreciate that. Don't expect it instantly, but they will appreciate the grace in that. So if they really care about you, they want to see you happy. Right? And true happiness is only found in the discovery of the self. Everything else is just ephemeral, transitory, floating clouds. So, what makes this discovery? Why are there millions and millions of seekers? You see? And very few, seemingly very few, who actually find what they're seeking? What is the difficulty?
Desire.
You want to have it like desire, you want to have it my way, Now, if you met the Absolute, if the Absolute came, hello, how would you know this is the Absolute? If the Absolute was recognized, how would
now
you?
because I see.
Huh?
I see you. It's easy now.
But suppose you were not in Satsang, you were just whatever, and you met the Absolute. How would you know? You see? What are the reports I hear? If I experience bliss, you see, then I know. So you need a third party report. You see? You're meeting the Absolute, but you want some other emotion also to show up to confirm. I'm confirming the ID. This is the Absolute. And what are you going to use to confirm that which is the timeless? Something that appears in time. Do you see the fallacy in that? That the meeting with the timeless, the meeting with the perceptionless, with the attributeless, we still rely on that which comes with attributes to say, that was God. Just because you cannot feed the absolute to your mind doesn't mean that it is not a true meeting. So, this is what spiritual seekers are doing. They're saying, where is my bliss? Why doesn't it stay? It's fine in satsang, but when I leave into the marketplace of the world, same question through the ages in the Upanishad thousands of years ago, then same question in talks with Ramana 100 something years ago, same question to Papaji, same question to Guruji, same question here. Right? In front of you in satsang, it seems so clear, it seems so apparent, unmissable. But when I go in the world, I lose it. You see? But in satsang, are you getting something that came now?
Yes,
because
for energetic support.
But use that and see that independent of that, you see, independent of that, what are you discovering? It is support, no? It is not the main meal, it's the starter. You see? So what's the main meal? You see? Use this energetic support to confirm the unchanging nature of the reality that you are discovering. You see? So when the mind comes and says, without energetic support, I can't, like that it can't. Whom? You see? You see? Because I am not here to make you into satsang addict. I am not here to say, this is the feed that you get, in satsang time, but actually then after that you can't manage, you see. No. I am showing you that which is always there. Always there. You're absolutely right that the support can help, you see. But use that support to take the leap of faith, to take the quantum leap into the discovery of what you are. Discovery of what you are. And that does not come and go. That does not change. It is also not that it is unverifiable when you're not in the presence of satsang. It is also not that. It only seems that the hypnosis of the mind, or the ability to hypnotize of the mind, seems to get amped up when you're not in a satsang environment, and it seems to reduce when you're in a satsang environment. Even this could change, because many times you could come into satsang and you're just like, I can't hear you. My mind is blasting me. It can happen. But usually, even for those who have not been in satsang, they could come into the satsang hall and they feel like, my older cousin came. He's a lot older than me, so I've always been like the kid cousin that he took behind his bike and things. So he visited me from Roorkee. So he was here for a few days. So I got him to the satsang side. He said, there's something here. It's very nice. So then I got him to meet some of the Sangha members in the building and things like that. And he went back, and then he was feeling nice, I could tell. But his older cousin ego sort of just said, I want to move to Bangalore so that I can come and sit in that room of yours. It sort of prevented him from saying, I want to spend more time with you, because then that would be like not the big brotherly thing to say. It's still sweet. Something like that.
It's not easy to say.
It's not easy.
This one.
Yeah, this one is easier because It can happen like that. So when I was asking how would you know if the absolute came to you? You see, that's a very relevant question. Can you have a mental category and say, like this, like this, like this, like this? Then, yes. You see? Suppose you're searching for something and you don't know how you will know if you found it. How will you undertake that search? You have to search for something. Okay? And you say, okay, Ananta, so how will I know I found it? No. So is that our condition? Not really, because some clues have been given that we have sort of discarded. Yeah? So number one clue is what in Vedanta? All perceptions, they are Maya, they come and go, they are not real. That really narrows down the search. You see? All perceptions, they come and go and therefore are unreal. No? It's basically a thought experiment. There's no reality in that statement. You see, because that is also perceived. But it's a useful thought experiment. So if all perceptions are taken to be unreal for the experiment, then what does that leave for us? Isn't that the number one clue that has been given? Everywhere, in all cultures, all scriptures. You see, don't look for form. Look for that which is formless. How? So we are coming to a point where we are making that which seemed to be so difficult. How do I search? I want the darshan of myself. You see? So now we are narrowing it down. Now, beyond perception, have you noticed anything? Have you recognized anything? Also, it is told that the self does not come and go. Beautiful second clue. No? So, not perceivable, does not come and go. So, where can I start looking? No, it does not come and go, must be here. So, right now, what is beyond perception? Is me idea? You with me? You look deep in thought. You cannot calculate your way to it. This you have to look. So what right now is beyond perception? What? Huh? It's okay, say it.
Awareness of this moment.
Awareness of this moment. Now, confusing to anyone? New one? Don't worry, it's not a class test or something. I'm just trying to make it as accessible and quote unquote real as possible. The recognition of the self, it seems like usually in usual traditions it seems like I have to do this and I have to do so many steps and so much sadhana and so much this and that. Only then it can become apparent. I'm just trying to make it very, very simple. Very, very simple. It is actually a universal discovery available for everyone. So we just use two of the clues provided in Vedanta. One is that it is not a perception, you see, and second is that it is always here. So what in your own discovery is like that? Is it awareness? What about that answer? Is it just conceptual? I know many of you are waiting to say, but the mind says. We can wait on that, but the mind says. What do you say right now? I'm not asking whether your mind is recognizing the truth. I'm asking you. Yes or no? You cannot find this in two different ways. In the sense that it will not appear to one like that and appear to another like that. So what I'm basically saying is you can't do this wrong. Because the unperceivable is discovered qualitylessly, and differences can only come in qualities. So the formless, you see, cannot be discovered like, oh, how can I be sure that Ananta came to the same discovery as I am coming to? Because you can't do it wrong. It is impossible to see that, to recognize that which is beyond perception, beyond sight, smell, color, taste, all of that. How can you come to it differently? And whatever tricks the mind can play, I've told you. So I've said that if it is creating like a dark empty space, and it is saying, see, this is awareness, this dark empty space. You see? So use that. Ask yourself, what is witnessing even that? Is that dark or light? Empty or full? Who's having trouble? See, don't worry.
Sometimes in experience, there's a realization that I was paying attention to the mind's narration, and I consider that as reality of what's going on.
Yes. But I'm saying right now, what stops you? Have I said you need to resolve this first, you need to fix that first, you need to do that first? No. You just have to be open and empty for one moment. Who are you trying to convince? Is it the mind?
It's buying of the idea that I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah. Now, what's the idea? Now? Any idea takes time, needs time. Who are you right now? Who's buying the idea? How do you know? Where will you go for the answer?
Mind wants something to catch.
I don't care what the mind wants. No, listen. This is a conversation that we can have for lifetimes. You see, if my question will be to you and your response will be, this is what my mind is saying, then we can go on. You see? We can go on and on with this for lifetime after lifetime, saying, I will keep saying this, the mind will keep saying that. That is the design of this play. You see? Your intuitive voice will point you to the truth, and your mind will point you to the false. So if both are left in the playground alone, there's no resolution there. You see? But you are the resolution to this. Because all of this play is for you. You see? So don't tell me what the mind is saying. What is your recognition?
I just wanted to say that the question, who am I, also brings back to the same thing.
Yes.
Or can the perceiver perceive the nullify the whole thing, then that everything is clear, at least for and if I'm not buying anything from the mind, then it's okay.
Exactly.
I just wanted to clarify.
Yes. So all the questions that have been designed by the sages are designed so that you cannot capture them in your mind, take you beyond the mind, and you come to the intuitive inside. Good? Tired? All finished?
Called her to the office and saying said we're giving you the benefit of the doubt.
Who?
Ji.
Benji.
Hopefully.
Is it? So whether you take the Zen tradition, Zen koans are offered to you. How can the goose escape the vase? You know this. How can the goose escape the vase? Is it? The Vedantic tradition of finding that which does not come and go. Bhagwan's question, who am I? Guruji's invitation with all the beautiful questions which are beyond the mind. Was it born? Can it die? Now, can we answer this from any mental perspective? We can't. So any of these questions are not possible to grapple with in the head. Okay? So if you look at any sage, so even if you look at a different tradition which is bhakti oriented, so you talk about devotion, or you talk about love, you see, or you talk about trust, can we really know what it is in the mind? Okay? So really the attempt is to give you one thing which you can hold on to, which allows you to go beyond the mind in the looking. So when Bhagwan insisted, but who are you? He knows fully well that you cannot answer it here, and you definitely cannot see it as a perception. So that is why it is a very potent question. So if I say, are you aware now? It's instant. You don't need to go to the mind, you don't need to go to any perception, and yet if I ask you, how do you know? Don't know. I just know. I don't know. I just know. And that I just know seems too uncool, so we call it intuitive insight. Because that sounds cool. How do you know? Intuitively, yeah. That's a good answer. That my mind can accept. How do? If I just then the mind beats me. So your awareness, you know intuitively, your presence, you know intuitively, love, you know intuitively, your eternal timeless nature, you know intuitively, that you are not in this universe, you know intuitively, that time and space do not affect you, you know intuitively. All the good stuff you only know intuitively. It's only all the rubbish you know mentally. Isn't it? I was taking a very worldly sounding example the other day. Like, as a parent, I can say this. Like, I love my kids, but how do I know? It's not on the basis of some emotion. You see? Because sometimes the emotion is just like anger. So even then, I love my kids. Huh? Isn't it? Or even like you may say, oh, Father, we love you. You see? But that is not always an emotion that you're feeling. Sometimes it's very frustrating to be in satsang. It's not a constant emotion. And you say, yes, we love you, but still, I love you, but like that. So how do you know? The same way, intuitively. And I saw Guruji the first time, I felt like my life is now taken care of. How did I know? Intuitively. Some of us, we just met in Rishikesh on the street somewhere, and you felt that you wanted to be in satsang here. How did you know? Intuitively. There was nothing like this young boy in t-shirt and jeans, now not so young, but that time young boy in t-shirt and jeans wearing superhero shirts in Rishikesh was obviously not compelling you to say, I can be your guru. No? And yet something, I don't know, something. That I don't know, something. That's intuition. Now, all of life can safely be lived like that. You will lose only the valueless. If you let go of the mind, you will not lose anything of value. And it is not opposed to any aspect of the human play. That you will lose falseness, you will lose egotism, you will lose pride, you will lose guilt, you will lose all the great B emotions, as I call them. You see, because they rely on a false identity, a misunderstanding of you to be there. Satsang has become more of a monologue because I can usually predict what question comes next. So if I say, you must now live intuitively, then the question usually is, so how do I know? Or that's at least what we should ask, that how do I know if I'm being intuitive? I think don't be mental, live headlessly or live intuitively. Then you should ask, how do I know? Because the mind can pretend to have the words of satsang. It can even pretend to copy the style of satsang. It may say to you in your head, my beloved child, do this, go there. It can propose. So remember that the spiritual aspect of your head is not your intuition. The spiritual constructs that you have in your head are still constructs in your head. You see? And to value those is to value the spiritual ego, or to pose as if you're the spiritual ego. So the posture that I know something spiritually is not intuitive, it's still conceptual. So how do you know that you're being intuitive? As who you are is apparent to you. As who you are is apparent to you. You're being intuitive. Because only intuitively yourself is apparent to you. Only intuitively yourself is apparent to you. So this I call open and empty.
Guruji, when you're working through the day for your project, I mean, you have so much of analysis, planning that needs to be done. Their mind mind hypnosis throughout the day. I mean, during that time, since morning, I have not even thought about are you aware?
Yes.
Only when I came here, that question came to my mind.
Very good. So, I also just came from work a few minutes back. So, can you confirm to me, this would be also a rare confirmation in the world. Okay, that suppose at work, at work, you have not checked, you don't know who you are, all that. But in satsang, you are Atma Jnani. That itself is a big thing to start with. See the nature of the mind. This is your second satsang. That 2 years ago, if somebody had told you that for 1 hour, thrice a week, you will live in Atma Darshanam, you would say, I would take that deal. You would say, I'll take that deal. I just want a moment of insight about myself. Now, as that is being made available to you, the mind is always saying what? More. So, not ye dil mange more, yes, sir mange more. So, it is saying, hey, here it's fine, but what about at work? So, what are you confirming? You see? What are you confirming? You are confirming that in your second satsang, you have gone beyond where Arjuna went in that conversation with Krishna. You see, because he was still stuck on trying to see the Virat roop. And now you are getting a darshan of the formulas. You see, and now your trouble is that, but it doesn't stay when I'm at work. That's a very good first world problem actually. Because how many spiritual seekers can even say that? So, what is the best gift you can give to that friend who will go to work tomorrow morning? What is the best gift? To fully have the darshan of yourself right now. Isn't it? Not to think about him now and then think about this one when you're there.
But here when I'm there, I'm trying to by heart what all you're telling so that I can read.
No, that is not the job. You see, that is not the job. The job is to meet God fully in your heart right now. See? So then godliness percolates organically to the rest of your life as well, without you sitting there as the judge of that percolation, by the way. See, because that judgment will become the oppression. You see? So if you are trying to help him and that one is just waiting to come to satsang, then nobody is actually being helped. It's a mind trick. You see? Because the mind will say, no, but all this is fine, but what about that one? So while you're having breakfast, eat the breakfast. While you're having lunch, have the lunch. If you keep thinking about lunch at breakfast time and dinner at lunch time, it's not good. Notice the trick of the mind in that. You're being introduced to that highest discovery, which at the beginning of spiritual seeking, we would have said, just one moment of the self is enough for me, Lord, please. Now, as the mind is realizing it's in trouble, its dominance is being pushed away and being replaced by God's love, by God's heart, then it's saying, yeah, all this is fine, but what about that one? Fix that one. You are meeting God. Is that not enough for the moment? You see? Are you noticing the trick? No. Don't solve it for a past you or a future you. All that is a figment of your imagination. You don't have to believe all this now. Right now. Are you finding what I'm pointing you to? And if there is a past you and a future you, this is the best gift you can give to them. What is getting in the way of your pristine discovery at this moment? Yeah? The search in this moment. Search. With what tool can we search? Show me a timeless tool with which we can search. That tool which is not in time, with which we can search. So when I say to you, what is getting in the way in this moment, right now? Even for the proposal to come from the head, that this is blocking you, that is taking time. Before that, the search is done. The discovery is done. The recognition is done. So, if you play with temporal tools, you will be stuck in time. If you play with tools which are about time, you'll be stuck in time. Perception takes time. Perception takes time. Contemplation takes, conceptualization takes even more time. How will you discover the timeless with those tools? Wrong tools. How many sit-ups you need to do to walk around this room? Absurd question. Trying to grasp God with your head is the same thing. Or even to hope for a mental confirmation of the discovery of the truth is the same thing. You meet someone, they say, what are you doing? Oh, I'm thinking about God. Well, as far as the world is concerned, I may even bless them. It's better than thinking about the other nonsense, at least thinking about God. But thinking about God is not the mechanism with which to find God. And thinking about the way, what are the ways in which I should find God is even worse. And thinking whether you actually are finding it or no is even worse.
Believing in God.
Huh?
Believing in God.
Do you have to believe you're sitting? Can there be if you mean that there is a conviction which is beyond belief? Mostly when people say, I need a conviction in God, no? I need a conviction in God, they're talking about a very strongly amplified belief. You see? But nobody says, oh, I believe, you see, that I have to eat breakfast. Or I believe that I'm sitting right now. I'm showing it to you more apparently than that you're sitting. Even to confirm that you're sitting needs a step. I am showing you steplessly. Try it out. You see? First you confirm that you are. Then you confirm that you're sitting. See? That you are, what did you use to confirm? You may say, oh, I confirmed that I am a body. But before you confirmed I am a body, you confirmed I am. No? I am a body. A body confirmation came later, but I am was there. On what basis? That is where the mind cannot help you. And this is where spiritual seekers get confused. Don't feed it into your head, my dear. If you keep trying to say, wait. It won't happen. You see? Yeah. I heard about MCT oil. MCT oil, when you're fasting and things, is very helpful because you don't have to go through like, what don't you have? Liver or something. It doesn't need to go through your liver or something to digest it. Goes straight as energy into the bloodstream. No? In the same way, what you're hearing in Satsang is like MCT oil. It doesn't need to go through your head. You will meet it very, very obviously. If you try to meet it through your head, you will struggle with it. Because in no way am what I am saying confirmable through perception or through your highest computation. It's not going to happen. It needs a simplicity which you introduce yourself to. When I ask you, are you aware now? Okay? The mind hates you for that. When you even nod or say yes, it hates you. It shouts at you. Say, why did you say yes? Say, I don't know. Say something. Yeah? It's crazy. Like, stop it. But you can't help it. It's just too obvious that you don't even wait for the mind to protest. Yeah. It's the most absurd type of knowledge. Because nobody has ever seen this awareness. Nobody. It's like everybody confirming what I have in my hand right now. Huh? What do I have in my hand? So suppose everybody said awareness and you were the only one sitting there saying, he doesn't have anything. It's like the emperor's new clothes. It's like, but if everybody... So I really hope that is not the case when I ask this question. It's because everybody says yes. Then we have to say just too obvious. There's nothing that your mind can even say. You may sometimes some people say no. Sometimes some people say no. Not like I don't know who that is. That is aware. I said, but that was not the question. Right now, are you aware? Now you are meeting a strange knowledge which you are not perceiving. So it's beyond seeing is believing. No? We talked about belief. Like in the world it is said seeing is believing. But this you are not even seeing. Is it operating out of a belief? Because you read I am that before you came to Satsang. So from Nisargadatta Maharaj you heard I am aware. So you've taken that to be the gospel truth. Is it like that? Is it like that? Then you may say, oh, but it is an inference because I am aware of my perceptions. You see? If my perceptions were not there, then I could not confirm it. But the coming and going of perception is witnessed by whom? So don't let these simple mind tricks bamboozle you, hypnotize you. It's nothing. So this awareness is yourself, is the highest, is the absolute. In what way can you doubt your recognition now? How can you do the recognition of the unperceivable wrong? Try to do the recognition of the unperceivable wrongly. Can you do it? No. So the doubting Thomas in our heads can keep saying, no, but what Ramana found is different from what you are finding. How can it be different? Different needs a different quality. No? But this is attributeless, formless. How can you find the formless in two different ways? And by ways I don't mean like you can find it in many different ways which are the preparatory sort of context preparation, but the discovery is the same. So do it wrong. Instead of worrying about whether you're doing it wrong, try to do it wrong. You see? What is the next worry? But can I hold on to this? I can't hold on to this at work. So what you try and do is try and leave it with all your effort. Pretend as if you're working right now. Think of your manager, think of your terrible clients, think of whatever you want. And lose it in reality. See if you can. It's a subtle experiment. So, as you open and empty, is this apparent to you or not? What effort is needed? Can this be lost? you say, not what your mind says. What do you say? Now, a majority of the mind, doubt and objections will have the central notion of what about me? You see? And that will be again centered around the notion of, okay, now if this is true, then how should I live? You see? Now, I want to tell you something very important. There is no single way to live. Consciousness is experiences itself in all shapes, sizes, colors, varieties, everything. You see? So the mind says, but then how am I supposed to live the right life, a good life? A good life is to live moment to moment, guided by the heart, guided by God, guided by intuition, whatever term you want to use. That is the only way to determine a good life, the right life. I don't mean the good life like that. Lifestyles of the rich and famous, something good, a truthful life. Humans have tried this for thousands and thousands of years to create a templated version of what the right life should be. It has not worked. You had the hedonists, you had the Epicureans, you had the Stoics, you had in all cultures, every tradition, you had so many different people proposing that this is the right way to live. None of that is lasted. None of that is lasted. And we talked about it the other day, where even in religion, religious scriptures usually have the spiritual aspects of the discovery of God and the temporal elements of what is suggested at that period of time as the best way of living. But what happens in the human condition is, because the spiritual aspect everybody feels we can't understand that, so leave that. This part we can understand, so let's get into this. So everybody gets into that. You see? So the Pandits will say, you keep doing this puja every day, you'll be fine. In every culture, every tradition, you have those who want to make the way of life as if the way of life is going to help the meeting with God, whereas the meeting with God is aparoksha. Aparoksha is without any mechanics, without any steps. Even a worldly father is not cruel enough to say, only when my kids do all of this, only then they are good enough to meet me. Why would God make steps or prerequisites? I'm thinking about it. Be as you were in the first day. So, don't worry about templatizing the best way to live, or what you have to do now that you have discovered the truth. How can I do this and how can I do that? Nonsense. It's like I did everything, I did all my sadhana, you see, and came to the Supreme Intelligence. I came across the discovery of the Supreme Intelligence, and now I will tell it how to live. So to try and templatize that discovery of that intelligence which is running this entire universe into some conceptual notion of what you should be like, it's pure bunkum. Arvind's word, which I've co-opted as my own. So what is the right way to live? Open and empty, moment to moment, guided by the heart. Will it lead to the right outcomes according to your head? Maybe not. Maybe not. Who is the true arbiter of the right? Who has the power the ability to judge your heart, to judge your intuition, to judge God's presence in your heart? What power has the ability to judge the rightness and the wrongness of that? There is no power. And this is the leap of faith. This is the leap of faith because it goes beyond our boundaries, our conceptual boundaries of what we think we should do, what we think we shouldn't do, what is the right way to live, what is the wrong way to live. This is to return to the innocence of a child. What kind of innocent child would you be if you already knew everything? It's just a lack of trust in the guidance which your heart is giving you. But in a way, although the discovery is immediate, in the world it can play out as if you are going through a process of development of trust, and that is fine. Come and sit here.
What to do thought just the moment you get up in
Yeah.
the morning, from that time itself it starts till you go to sleep. So I think we just drop that question itself.
Yes.
Then maybe
Yes. No, we've had cases where in inquiry we can see, like the one who's on the hot seat can see that there is no doer. No? So that one says, it's so clear there's no individual doer here. Now what should I do?
confusion.
Now what should I do? You see, because this question has become the human habit. Because we are convinced that we are useless unless we know what to do.
Exactly.
You see? Now the problem with this what to do question is that it needs a context. You see? And this context is being taken away from you. You see? So if you're using even satsang to situate yourself in the middle of a context, which means that you can narrate something about yourself in your present state, then that will be used as what to do, what should come next, you see, all of that. Now what is this? Before you can determine what to do next, what is this? Then?
It's just a life full of confusion going
Even
on.
if you take that to be true, you see, even if you take the holiest words, then the mind will have the ability to propose a next. You see? Can we not admit that we have no idea what this is, this very moment? Who can tell me what this is? Is this Satsang with Ananta? Of course not. Is this a master sitting with his disciples? Of course not. It's not that timid, it's not that restricted. It's not that primitive. It's much more to this. Energetic support, the light in the room, the sound of the AC, the horns of the traffic. What is this? One moment we can't decipher in this way. But we can meet. But we can meet. Is it? If you were told that the best movie that is ever going to be made in the world is coming to PVR at Forum, only one showing is there. Only one showing is there. The best director has made it, and it's limited edition. Okay, you go into that movie, and you'll just be like, no. But the funny thing is, under the hypnosis of the mind, we are missing the best movie in the world. We are meeting it through its subtitles. Moment to moment. Yeah, the beauty of this is that when you meet it moment to moment, that which is witnessed and that which is witnessing, both are fully apparent. It's amazing. It is not that as you open an empty, you only recognize what is perceived. Even that which is aware of perception is recognized. So either you do a full niti and say not this, not this, not this, not this, not this, not this, not this. Or you say also this, also this, also this, also this, also this, also this, also this. You do that. You come to the same point. So this way or that way, at the end you meet the same. There is no escaping the truth. It is only escaped in half measures. So if you go half this way, niti, not the body, not my thought. By the way, he said full perception, pure perception. Like, yes, I want to feel one with that body, one with that. Yeah. But not this, not that. Yeah. Either fully now, open and empty, here and now, or not this, not this. You come to a point where you cannot say not this too very quickly. Unless you're doing some fantasy exercise. And that same discovery is here also. As I sometimes say, the Vedantic method is still a method. It's a thought experiment. It's a series of tools. It is not saying that what is being said is the ultimate truth. You need to buy into that provisionally so that you can follow the experiment fully. It is not that at the end you will say, oh, this is unreality and this is reality. This goes nowhere. But yeah. No, it's a provisional thing to get you to look without sight at that which is beyond perception. And before Vedanta, most of us didn't even realize we had that ability. Yeah, all this is perception. What is the effort needed to recognize that you are the witnessing principle here and now? Is there any effort? That's it. That is self-knowledge. What can you do with it? Nothing at all. What would you want to do with it? What would you want? Share satsang is not as glamorous as it looks. It's not always like people throwing flowers at your feet. What else can you do with it? And that is where truth for truth's sake or God for God's sake comes in. If you could meet God but get nothing in return except the meeting itself, would you want to? That's worth contemplating. So, would you want to? Or, this is the whole Nachiketa and Yamraj conversation. The young boy who insists that he wants that which is beyond death. Yeah? So Yamraj comes and says, but I'll give you palaces, I'll give you the best friends, I'll give you everything that you can ask for. The child says, which one of these will escape you? He says to the god of death. And death says, no, all of this is under my reign and it'll come to an end. But then, if I'm going to leave it tomorrow, I'll leave it today. I want that which is beyond you, beyond death. Not so that I'll have some siddhi or superpower. See? It's just because I'm done with the lie. I'm done with that which is in time. So, is this search for God so that you can live life like a king? Or is there a deeper longing that just cannot be satisfied with worldly temptation? I rarely use words like temptation. But let's say worldly offerings. Is God a means to an end? And God will never become so small. Are you looking for God so that you can get the best servant in the world? Just have to bow down, do some drama. Like that you want? Genie? You want a genie? Not gonna work. God is not a genie that you will rub the lamp by pretend surrender saying, please, I bow down to you, but please give me this and this. God for God's sake, truth for truth's sake. Not God for me, because there's not enough room for both. In this universe, you cannot fit both. God or me. if this takes a hold in your heart, then your mind will not be able to trip you up. But if you want to juggle God, God, me, God, huh? then you may think that you're trying to juggle, you are the one being juggled. Nobody has that kind of power. What is the sacrifice that's being asked for? What do you hold of value? And again, I'm repeating that it is God is not in opposition to anything at all. If God was in opposition to any of this, you think it will still be there? It's like if I let go, God may just demolish it. You feel like it could be there if God didn't want it already. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying our attachment cannot be to both me and to God.
But then, Father, one can say that God is the one putting that attachment in me too.
Yes. And now God is pointing you to drop it. You have to receive God fully there. He put it there, now he's saying leave it. God bought me the video game I am playing with. Now God is saying please keep it down. Because a child may have that lamentation. Stop playing with your PlayStation. You bought it for me. Now it's next time. This is the design of the play, my dear. This is the design of the play. It's just like you have to become the Nachiketa to become free. And we don't know, maybe it was Nachiketa's 10,000th round which got captured at the Katha Upanishad. No? Maybe before that Yamraj said, I'll give you. Yeah, okay, let's try. Like Groundhog Day. Back and forth, back and forth.
So Ananta-ji in Nachiketa's story.
No. You are having a better time without that. I can see the inklings of it start to appear. It's just like a... See, nothing I'm saying is the truth. It's all garbage. It's only meant to point you, and it is pointing you well. So your mind will kind of... You had a good time so far, no? Why spoil it? What I'm pointing you to is to your heart. And you have come to such beautiful maturity in your heart. Okay, say the question. Let's hear one.
Yeah, I think it's a very important question.
When do we know?
Is we seek salvation and growth. And when we say that we are done with life, somewhere we are trying to escape life because of the challenges of life. And we are not really wanting the truth, we just want to avoid the suffering and the challenges of life. So, do we really want to meet God, or we just like to avoid our challenges? Yeah.
So, if you're open to meeting God moment to moment without already having an idea of what to do or what not to do, then we really want to meet God. You see? If we want just like a cheat code in life, saying, this is too difficult, life is causing too much suffering, it's doing all of it. So I've been told that if I pray to God, you see? So then it becomes the escape. You see? So we have to check for ourselves that from whatever we have discovered about ourselves now, do I need to rely on a templatized version of how to live from the heaven, or am I open to living in the presence of God moment to moment? Of course, there will be times where I'll trip up, I'll identify, those moments will come. Okay? But what is my best refuge in those times? To come back in the refuge of God. So, if that openness is there, then we are open to this. If that openness is not there, then we want to play in some other way, and that is fine. I'm just saying that you can't have it both. You can't have it both. You remember I used to say, one foot on the ground and one on the plane will not be a comfortable flight. You'll get torn apart.
Prayer to the God to help us live this life, that is a surrender.
No. It's a minor, like half of a half surrender. Help us means God should be our servant. I am running this life, but you please help me. How are you running this life? Do you know how to move a finger? Do you know how to move a finger? How? Huh? How did you do it?
It happens.
Either you did it or it happened. Some who are scientifically inclined would say there are some neurons which fire in my brain. And those neurons then activate the nerves. And the nerves send the signal and the finger moves. So I said, oh, very nice. So do you know how to fire a neuron? Nobody knows. You see? So the notion, I am running my life. You don't even know how to move a finger. How will run? Run life. What is life? We don't even know what life is. In our heads, you see, our heads are so tiny, it doesn't even know what life is. The presence of God we call life. Presence of God is called life. And we say, I am running that. And who is this I? That I don't know. I'm running it, I know. This body is running life. I'm not picking on you, idea. I know it's your second satsang. I'm just like questioning these deeply held beliefs. That what are we saying? This body is running life? If this body didn't wake up this morning, who controls that?
Yeah, we don't know.
Exactly. So this notion that I am running life and I only want God to help me. हाँ, बाकी सब ठीक चल रहा है, थोड़ा इसमें प्रॉब्लम है, please God. That's usually our thing, no? Mostly it's alright, it's just my relationship giving some trouble or my boss giving some trouble. Please. See, we don't realize it, my child. We don't realize it, but it's just pure arrogance. See? But in the world, we have taken that to be humility. Ask God for help in the things you can't do. Sound like such a humble statement, such a sweet statement. What am I doing wrong? We are asking God to help me in the things I can't do. You don't even exist. You want God to come and serve you in those things you can't do. Are you starting to see the upside down nature of all of this? We live in this make-believe fairy tale. You see? And just because these notions are popular doesn't make them true. Ask God in your heart, how can I be in service to you? This is that. not that whatever we may be able to do will actually help God in some way. To align to God's cause is the best gift that you can give to yourself, not a gift you can give to God. God doesn't need your gifts. It's just like, I'm playing Lego. I'm playing Lego blocks, and the character suddenly comes. What gift can I give you? What gift? Absurdness. So our life to be in service to God is a gift that we can give to ourselves. Not a gift that you're giving to God. In fact, it's God's gift to ourselves, to allow us to be in service to Him. Okay, so rather than getting lost in the series of questions that this conversation may have opened out, no? You can pick one. Like one question you could pick, for example, is, what do I really know? What do I really know? Or, if that seems also too intellectual or conceptual, you can say, who am I? Till we get to the bottom of that, the rest is just sideshow. In 5 minutes, we just discovered the absurd notion of asking God for help.